Hello, everyone. Can you guys hear me? All right, perfect. Gonna give it a couple more minutes to see if anybody else joins. How are you guys doing today? Hello. Just giving people a couple more minutes. Getting a couple of things set up, and then we'll get started. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and share with you guys this Notion link that I wrote. Everything that we're going to need for the session today is going to be there. Feel free to follow along with it at the same time that I'm going to be coding it live. And you guys obviously can also take a look at this afterwards and ask me any questions after the workshop is over as well. Let's see. Can you hear me? Anybody who can hear me, you guys can go ahead and say yes in the chat. Okay, perfect. Awesome. Thank you. Beautiful. All right. Hopefully, Alexis, I think that's how you say your name. He can figure out what is going on with his audio. Also, I'm trying to figure out how I can pin this this message. Okay, let's go ahead and get started then. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Once again, I have shared a link to the Notion where I have all of the instructions for this workshop. You guys are free to follow along as well as keep it for a little bit later. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Harrod. Really appreciate it. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. How we are going to be building a Discord bot in Python today. Hopefully everyone here, if not most of you, already have Python installed in your system. I'm not going to be going over that. I'm going to be going over how to install discord.py, which is the library that Python uses for the Discord API, as well as python.env, which is the library that we use for environment variables, which is what we're going to be using to keep our secret key for our bot. So the very first thing that we're going to want to do is go to the developers portal on Discord. I'm going to show you guys how to do this right here. And let me know if you guys can see my screen, if it's too hard to read, if you want me to make it a little bit bigger. I'm going to go ahead and post this link here as well. In the developer portal, you're going to click New Application, and you're going to name your bot whatever you want to name it. What would you guys like to name this bot? I'm going to come up with a silly name if nobody tells me a name. Jeffrey. Jeffrey it is. Let's call the bot Jeffrey. So we have created our application on Discord. You can click, change the icon, you can change the name. But what we're going to want to do for the time being is going to come over here to the bot, and we're going to add a bot to this application. Yes, do it. And a wild bot has appeared. You can also change the icon. This is actually what's going to show up on Discord once you add the bot to your server. And for the time being, the only thing that we're going to need is the token. This token right here, you don't want anybody to see it. This is for you and for you only. So if you're going to be putting your bot up on GitHub, you're going to want to not commit that file. So I'm going to go ahead and click copy here, and we can get started actually coding this bot up. So let me double check to see if I covered everything that I need. And if you're just now coming into the session, you can follow everything that I've done on the Notion that I put. So you can always go back to it and see the steps that I've taken. Hopefully you guys also know how to create a Discord server. If not, I'll go over that very quickly a little bit later on. But for the time being, let's go ahead and actually get started coding on this bot. So what I have here is I created a folder that's just called Bot Workshop, or whichever way you want to create it. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to create a file that's called .env. This is going to be where you're going to be putting your bot token. I'm just going to call it token, and I'm going to paste what I copied from my developer portal right there. So once again, this is not something that you want to share with anybody else. This is going to be something that I'm going to be deleting later on, so don't try to copy it or anything. Zoom in on the text a bit. Oh, no. Let's see. So now that we have our token, we want to create the main file for the bot. I'm just going to go ahead and call it bot.py. And if you're doing this on VS Code, you can either open a new terminal here and install the discord.py library directly here, or you can open your own terminal and do that there. So I'm just going to show you guys really quick the commands that you need to use in order for this to work. I already have it installed. But if you're using Python with pip, it's as simple as pip install discord.py. Like that. I'm not going to run it because I already have it. And after you're done installing discord.py, you're also going to want to install python.env, which is what's going to help us load this environment file that we created earlier. So for that, all you need to do is pip install python-.env. So once again, I'm not going to run this because I already have it. VS Code is nice. You can just do it directly here. If not, you can just do it on your own terminal. Those are the only two things that we should be needing. So if anybody is having any issues, please feel free to put it on the chat. And I'm going to try to keep an eye on it. If you guys think that I'm going too slow or too fast, also please let me know. All right, so far so good. Hopefully you guys already have that all installed. So now to actually code this bot. All right, so is this a little bit better for you guys to see? How is this? More zoomed in, less zoomed in? More? Is that good? All right, perfect. Okay, so as you guys saw, I did the environment variable here in one file. I created another file called bot.py. And this is where we're actually going to be starting our bot. So import Discord is the very first thing that we're going to need from that discord.py install that we did earlier. And let's see. All right, everybody good so far? We imported Discord. The next thing that we're going to need to do is import the OS. That's what we're going to be using to grab our environment variable to give us the token for our bot. And from .env, import load.env. And this is what lets us actually load our bot, the token that we have from the environment variable. I'm just going to call it token, and we're going to get it from the OS, get environment, and pass in the name that we gave it directly on that file. So this is the name that I gave to it here. It has to be the exact same way that you wrote it here. So that lets us get it. And the way that I'm going to start this bot, I'm going to call it bot. You can call it whatever you want. Some people call it client. I call it bot. And I'm going to use commands, which is something that comes directly from discord.py, command.bot. And this needs you to pass the prefix that you're going to be using with your bot. So you can choose the prefix to be anything you like. I tend to like using this. I'm just used to it already. You can do a dot. You can put literally anything you like here. It can be this. It's what the bot is going to read. Every time that somebody sends a message that starts with this, that's what your bot is going to read. Commands.bot. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. There is one more thing that you need to get in to import for the commands. From Discord extension, we need to import the actual commands, because if not, it doesn't work without it. All right, perfect. So that fixed that error. Now, in order to make your bot actually go online, we need to use bot.event. It's just you calling an event directly on Discord. And everything on Discord Pi is asynchronous. So every single function that you write is going to start with async. Async def on ready. And this is actually what you have to call it. This is not a function that I am making up or anything like that. If you want your bot to go online, I'm just going to call it on ready. And I'm just going to print something for myself to make sure that it's working. And I'm going to say the name of my bot. So bot.user.name. That's how I get the name that I gave to the bot. It's going to print Jeffrey. Has joined the chat. Right? So that's going to let him know if it worked out. And once I have everything done, I just want to call bot.run with the token. So let's go ahead and save this and make sure that everything is running correctly. So if you are on VS Code, you can go ahead and just press run. If you're on a terminal, you can do Python bot.py, and it should do the same thing. All right, Jeffrey has joined the chat. So let me know if you guys have any questions so far. If you guys are stuck anywhere. I'm reading the chat at the same time. So now that we have this working, let me go ahead and stop it. The next thing that we need to do is actually put it in a server, right? We want our bot to interact with everybody else. So what I'm going to do next is to add the bot to your server, you have to come back to the developer portal. You guys can see my screen still? Good. So in the developer portal, we want to go into OAuth 2. That's how we're going to get the link to get our bot to join whatever server we put it in. And I'm going to click bot here. That's really the only thing that we need so far is the scope. And I'm going to copy this link that I have here. And I'm actually going to go to it. And that's going to ask me, which server do you want to add the bot to? If you already have a server created, or if you're the moderator or administrator, or if you have the permissions for a server, you can go ahead and put it there. I created one that's called Bell server, so I'm just going to authorize it. Oh, I'm not a robot. And that's going to join my server. So let me show you guys real quick what that looks like. So I have this right here. And as you can see, Jeffrey's right there. And he's showing online even though he's not online. That's curious. Let's see what the code is looking like so far. Well, so now we have the bot there. Oh, it's showing offline now. Perfect. So it does show us online as soon as I run this. But now we want the bot to actually do something, right? So let's move on to actually giving functionality to our bot. Let me see the next thing that I need. It's actually easier for you guys to read because it's so big, but it's hard for me to read because it's so big for me. Let's do a very, very simple ping command just to make sure that our bot is working as intended. So bot.command is the first thing that I need here. This, you need this in on top of every single function that you write to let the API know that the function that you're writing is actually going to be a command that the user can call. So I'm just going to do async def ping. And what we need to pass inside a function that's going to be a command is something called context. It's something that every single function is going to take, and it's a discard.py thing. Context it helps us basically do everything on Discord. If you need to send messages to a server, messages to a user, you're going to be using context. So the good thing that the way that this works as well is the name of the function itself is going to be the name of the command that you're going to be calling. So right here, since it's async, you have to await it. This await comes together with async. That's the reason why I need it there, is because the function is asynchronous. So I'm going to do await context.send. This means that I'm going to be sending a message directly to the channel where the command was called from. So let's go ahead and just send pong back as soon as, whenever I say ping, let's say pong, right? So let's save it and run this again. Jeffrey has joined the chat. Let's see what this looks like. So Jeffrey's right there. Hello, Jeffrey. Let's do a ping and see if that works. Hooray! So it works out so far. But pong is not something that's like super exciting, right? So what else can we do with this bot? So let's take a look here. Let me stop it for a second. Let's see. Yeah, you can double click on the screen share video directly to make it larger for yourself. So let's just do another quick command, just for you guys to have a little bit of a better idea of how commands work. So I have bot.command again. Let's do an 8-ball command. So I have async def 8-ball. And this one, the reason why I chose it is because it shows you guys something really interesting. Because normally you would want to do something like this, right? But you can't create a function that starts with a number in Python. So one thing that you can do, though, is create an alias for your command. You can actually have a list of aliases, which means that the command can be called however many ways. So I want to call this 8-ball, but I want it to also work if somebody says 8-ball. So all I have to do is pass in an aliases parameter and add however many. If I wanted to put something else in there, I could do this as well. But for right now, just 8-ball is fine, right? Let me see. Is there a way to have a function called on every message posted in the server? Technically speaking, your bot is reading every message that's sent in the server, but it's listening, right? It's listening for some specific thing that you tell it to listen to. So that's the reason why we use the command prefix, because the bot is not going to respond to every single message that's posted in the server. It's only going to respond to something that starts with the command prefix. But you can make it listen to anything you want, really. There are ways for you to make a discard bot log every single thing in the server. You can download a server log. There are bots out there that do that because by default, the bot has to listen to everything that is said in the server, right, in order for it to recognize what it needs to recognize to respond to. So I hope that answered your question. So let's go on. So for the 8-ball command, we have an aliases here, so we can call it something different than what the command is, what the function is called. So now there's 2 ways to call this command. Let's see. Once again, you need to pass in the context. That's something that you're always going to need. But for an 8-ball command, I want the user to be able to ask a message, right? So I want to have a wildcard parameter. All this means is that this function can receive an unlimited number of parameters, and it's all, I'm going to put everything inside something called question, right? And I want this question to be a string that's initially none, just in case somebody calls a command with nothing, right? First things first, I want to make sure that the bot is not going to be responding to itself. That would be funny. But I want to say if context.author equals bot.user, so if it's the bot asking the question, I don't want it to do anything. I just want it to return. I don't want it to answer to itself. And I also want to say if question is empty, or if question is none, I want to send back context.send, hey, you have to ask a question. How am I supposed to answer if you don't ask a question, right? Otherwise, what we can do is I'm going to go ahead and copy paste this because I have a map of responses that are already preset. I don't want to spend like a whole lot of time, but you can find this. I have all of this code up both on the Notion, and I also put it up on my GitHub for you guys to see. So you can always go back and look through this again. So if you feel like I'm going too fast, you can always ask questions later. So now I have a list of strings with all the different responses that I want the bot to give. And I want to pick one randomly. In order for me to do that, I'm going to have to come over here and I'm going to have to import the random library that allows me to just pick something random out of this list. So I'm going to say create a response variable, and then I'm going to do a random.choice from responses. And I want to send that to the channel. So context.send response. So let's go ahead and save this real quick. Let's run it again. Jeffrey has joined the chat. Let's see what it looks like. Hey, Jeffrey, are you alive? Pong, he is. Let's do 8-ball. Hey, you have to ask a question. How about 8-ball? Will my viewers like this presentation? It is decidedly so. I like Jeffrey. I hope you guys like Jeffrey too. So let's go on. So the next thing that I wanted to cover is, like, I gave you guys 2 examples of commands, and you can really make whatever your heart desires with these commands. But once your bot starts getting a lot more complicated and you start adding a lot more things to it, it's just not feasible to keep putting things inside one file like this, right? So thankfully, there's these things called cogs, and that basically what cogs do is they help you modularize your code. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a new folder, and I'm just going to call it cogs. And what I can do is I can move these commands, and I can have one file per command. So inside cogs, let's just go ahead and create a ping command, right? So ping.py. The way that cogs work, though, is that you have to have it inside of a class. So I don't know how many beginners we have here, or how many people who are like new to Python. But classes, it's an object-oriented programming a concept, super useful. You're gonna work with classes a lot. So I'm just gonna kind of copy paste this real quick, and I'm gonna go over this just because it's the ping command. It's really simple. So this is what we want to do. We want to import our Discord and our import commands again, and we want to create a class called ping, and we want to pass in commands.cog. Oops. Commands.cog, which is a discord.py thing as well. So this is something that you're always going to pass in every function, in every class, in every cog that you create. And you also have to have an init function, and it's always going to look like this, right? So once again, all of this code is up on my GitHub and also on the Notion that I created. And then we have the command here again. Let's take this out for now. I'm going to use that a little bit later. I wanted to just say Pong for now. So once you create your class, you initialize it saying self.bot equals bot. For those of you who are still beginners to Python, Python functions always take self as the first parameter if you have that function inside of a class. So this is always going to be there on every single function that's inside of a class. So we go ahead and we do the initializing function. We create our command with commands.command. See how this is also different. Before we did bot.command, now it's just commands.command. Once again, this is also part of the discord.py library. I'm going to make sure to link to the documents as well, so you guys can read the docs later if you want. It's super useful. There's so much stuff to this library that you can do with. And finally, we want to connect this cog to our bot. So you're going to need a setup function, and this setup function is going to look the same for every single cog as well. So you do def setup bot, and then bot.addCog, whatever your class is named, and then you pass your bot object into it. So let's go ahead and save this. And I'm going to have to delete this from here now, since we don't want this twice. It's not going to work if we have it twice. We want only one ping. So let me take Jeffrey down for a second. Jeffrey has joined the chat. So let's see if this works. Hello. Oh, it did not. So let's see what happened. Command ping is not found. Oh, I think I know what's missing. Okay. So let's jump forward a little bit, and I'm going to talk about this. Oh, there's a question. Is there an IDE for Python Mac that you recommend? I personally use Visual Studio Code for basically every single personal project that I make. The Discord bot Lancelot that I wrote is all fully written in VS Code. But I heard that PyCharm is really good as well. I've been meaning to check it out, but I hear really good things about it. So if you want to check out PyCharm at some point, and let me know what you think about it. I love VS Code though, so that's my #1 choice. Okay, so the reason why the ping command is not working right now is because we need to be able to load this cog into our bot. And the way that we're going to do this is we're going to come over here to bot.py. I'm going to take this 8-ball out as well, because we're gonna be rewriting it a little bit later. But what we want to be able to do is we want to be able to load this extension, right? So I'm gonna do once again bot.command, and it's an async def load. We want to be able to load the cogs that we write. So once again, it's going to take in a context, and it's going to take in something called an extension, right? So a cog is basically an extension to the bot. It's what allows us to have it modularized like that. And we're going to call bot.load extension, and just want to get a confirmation that this works. So I'm going to do cogs.extension, right? There you go. So I have it saved. For good measure, I'm also going to write an unload and a reload methods, functions. And that's actually going to be really helpful as well, so that you don't have to keep restarting the bot every single time you make the smallest change in your code. You don't want to do that every single time, right? So let me just go ahead and write this real quick for you guys to see what it looks like. So I have another bot.command. I'm going to do an unload one, which I hardly ever use. I use load and reload all the time. So once again, bot.extension, context extension, bot.unload extension. All right, so this should work the way that we want. And finally, a reload takes in the context and the extension. I can type, I promise. And how do we load things? How do we reload things? You just unload and load them back again. So I'm just going to copy this, paste it, copy this, and paste it over here. Oops. And let's save this. So now we have a load function, an unload function, and a reload functions to make sure that all of the cogs that we write here are going to be working. And let's go ahead and try it. So Jeffrey has joined the chat. Let's go ahead and do load ping. That's what I called the extension. And ping. Perfect. So now he's responding. So now we know how to write cogs. We know how to load, unload, and reload cogs. All of these actually work the same way, by the way. If I wanted to, if I did unload ping, then that would no longer work, right? So then I would have to load ping back again. And if I want to reload it, this is what I wanted to come over here and do, like a quick change just for you guys to see how it works. So I'm just going to modify this Pong real quick just to show the latency, right? So I'm just taking the latency directly from the bot. This is something that you can also call self.bot.latency, multiplying it by 1000, rounding it, sending it back as milliseconds. See, I save this. See how this is still working. I'm going to come back to Discord and I'm going to say reload ping. Actually, before I do this, just for you guys to see, you guys saw that I already saved the new ping. But if I say ping here, still no change, right? Because I didn't reload my changes yet. So I'm just going to do reload ping. And now if I do ping again, now it gives me the latency. So as you can see, this is super helpful, useful for when you're developing your bot. You don't want to, keep restarting it over and over again. You can just do reload. All right. Sounds good. So now let's go ahead and rewrite that 8-ball command real quick. I'm going to do a new file, call it 8ball.py. Let's bring it back. So I don't want to spend like a whole lot of time rewriting the whole command because there's still a bunch of things that I want to show you guys. So I'm just going to kind of copy paste this and go over with you guys what I did. So once again, created a new file under cogs, imported Discord, imported commands, imported random. I created a class called 8ball. Once again, takes commands.cog. This always happens with every class inside a cog. Did my initializing function, self.bot equals bot. And here, instead of bot, I'm saying commands. So like commands.command instead of bot.command. Passed in my alias. Did the wildcard, the question, made sure that the bot is not going to be responding to itself. Made sure that the question is actually being asked. I have my responses, and then I'm sending it over. So let's go ahead and save this. I'm loading my cog to my bot with my setup function. So let's come over here. Once again, notice I did not restart the bot. All I have to do is load 8ball and call 8ball. Oops. Are you sure? Oh, let's see what happened. Did I copy this right? It was a copy paste, so it's probably not even right. Let me double check what happened here. Self.bot equals bot. Oh, I know what it is. I'm sorry about that. I did forget one thing that we have to come back here into my bot.py. And this is once again relating to the cogs. Once you start creating cogs into your bot, there are two things that you can do. You can either come over here and you can do self.bot on every single bot that you use. So I could do self.bot on everywhere that I write bot inside of my cogs. I could do that. Or I could come into my bot.py and I could just import built-ins. This makes it so that we don't have to write self.bot every single time. So if I do import built-ins, I can just come over here and say built-ins.bot equals bot. So that just saves us a little bit of time, so we don't have to say self.bot every single time that we write bot. So let's see if that works out. Load 8ball is already loaded. So what we want to do is actually reload 8ball. Hello? Oh no. Is the bot not defined still? This is good. You guys get to see the debug process live. No, actually, that should not make a difference. One or the other. You should be able to use both. So if I say 8-ball here, hello, it should give me the same error. Yeah. So just because you add an alias doesn't mean that you can't use the function name as the command. Both of them are going to be working, are going to work the same way. So I imported the built-ins. I have the command prefix. I have my load, unload, and I might reload. I deleted it. Let's restart the bot. Oh yeah, right. Okay, of course. I'm sorry. I do have to restart the bot because I imported the built-ins into the bot.py. That's what it was. So just doing a reload on a cog doesn't reload the actual bot itself. So I had to restart the whole bot for that. So let's do 8-ball hello. Oh no. Load 8-ball. All right. So now that worked out. I should have asked it if I was going to be able to reload it successfully. So let's see. What do you guys want to ask? Is it gonna rain this weekend? Oh, look, not so good. All right, so now we have our 8-ball working. We have our ping working. Oh, we're already at 6:41. I did want to cover a couple more things with you guys today. So let me see what else there is. We did commands, we did cogs, we did load, unload, and reload. I wanted to show you guys. Let's do a clear command next. So I wanted to show you guys a random cat, but that requires a post request into an API. And I don't think that we're going to have enough time for that, unfortunately. It gets a little bit more involved. So let's go ahead and do a clear command next for you guys to see a little bit more about discord.py, the library itself. In order to write a clear command, you have to have message permissions yourself, and the bot has to have manage message permissions as well. So let's go back over here real quick. And let's just create a clear.py. All right, so let's jump into it. So import Discord again. I'm actually going to code this one up for you guys. I'm not going to like copy it or anything. So from Discord extensions, import commands. I'm going to call this class clear, and I'm going to pass in commands.cog. I have my init function, x in self and bot. Self.bot equals bot. Now I have my commands.command. And one extra thing that I want to add here is the commands.has guild permissions. So discord.py and the Discord API itself actually calls servers guilds. So anything that you have to do with a server on Discord is actually called a guild. So I'm going to be calling this, and I want to make sure that the manage messages permissions is going to be checked, right? So what this line is going to be doing is it's going to be saying anybody who tries this command, it's first going to check to see if the person has the correct permissions, and the function, the command is only going to work if you have those permissions. So obviously, if you're making a clear messages command, it's really important, right? You don't want just anybody to be able to delete messages on Discord. So you want to make sure that you have that check there. So I'm going to say async def clear, or you can call it whatever else you like. You delete messages, delete. I'm going to pass in self. I'm going to pass in the context, and I want to pass in an amount. How many messages does the person want to delete at the time? I want to give them the option, right? So I'm starting it at 0. If somebody doesn't pass in a number, it doesn't delete any messages. So I'm gonna do await context.channel.purge. That's what we're going to be calling directly from discord.py. And this function takes in limit as a parameter. And in order I'm gonna pass in however much I want for it to for the bot to delete, which is the amount that's been passed in. I want to do amount plus 1 to make sure that it also deletes the message that called the command, right? So if I just pass in amount, then what the bot is actually going to be doing is it's going to count the clear command as one of the messages to delete, and then it's going to delete one less than the person actually intended to. So I'm just going to do amount plus 1 to make sure that we take care of that case. And then we do await context.send, and I can say deleted amount messages. Right, so let's go ahead and connect this to our bot. So set up bot.addCog clear bot. Oops. So let's save this. Let's come over here and load clear. Clear 2. Did it work? Oh no. Oh, the bot is missing permissions. Okay, so perfect. So you guys can see right there that if either me or if the bot are missing permissions, that command is not going to work, which is great. That's what you want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and I'm just going to add this bot row. I created this a little bit earlier. It has administration permissions. So once I give that to the bot, now it actually deletes the messages. All right, so looks like everything is working out as intended. What I did with my bot is I didn't want this message to stay there. So what I did is I kind of just came over here and I imported this library called async.io directly from Python. It's a Python library. It's not a Discord library or anything. And what I did is I let this sit here for about 1 second before that message also gets deleted. So if you guys ever see anybody use Lancelot to delete messages on the KnightHacks Discord, that's what it does. It deletes the messages, and then the message that says X messages deleted is also gone after about 1 second. The way that I did that is I did await async.io .sleep. It just kind of forces the bot to like take a second before it does the next action. I make it sleep for a second, and then I purge the last message. Right, so I save that, come over here, reload clear, clear 3. So then sits there and then it's gone. All right. So everything is working out as intended. You guys saw the bot work. We have a clear command, an 8-ball command, a pie command. You know how to put everything inside of a cog to make your code nice and clean and modularized, so it's not everything in one file that would get be a headache to read. Unfortunately, I don't think we have enough time to make this cat command work like in full, but I'm going to try to go ahead and put this here just so you guys can actually see it in action. So I'm going to create a new file, cat.py. I'm not going to code up the whole thing, but I'm going to quickly go over what it's doing. This is like a little bit more advanced, especially if you've never worked with like HTTP commands or requests or anything like that. Doing the same thing that I did before. You actually don't even need this here because I'm not loading any environment variables. So, but we're using this library called AIO HTTP. It's directly from Python as well, that lets you deal with HTTP commands. Creating the class the same way that we did before. I have a function called cat. You can call it other things as well. I forgot I had that there. And I'm using this API called the cat API. It's completely free. You can go and you can query random cat images, and you don't even need an API key for it. So that's why I thought it was like pretty cool. I could go ahead and come over here. I want to give you guys time for questions as well. So I'm just going to kind of show you this code real quick. I'm going to show this working. And if you have any questions about it, you can always hit me up on Discord. You can always also take a look at the code that I have directly on my GitHub. Everything is open source. But let's go ahead and save this and come over here and load this cat command and see if that works out. So it worked, but it didn't give me a cat. I don't know what's going on with that. I think that they think they're cats. Let's try again. Oh, that's a cat. Oh, that's so cute. Oh, I love this command. Okay. Thank you guys so much for coming to my presentation today. I'm really glad that so many people showed up. If you guys have any questions at all, please let me know. I'm reading the chat. If you guys want to hit me up on Discord later on, please feel free to do so as well. Let's try another cat. I love looking at cats. Look at the babies. They're so cute. Okay, and I'm gonna put this code back up. So I know that this is a little bit more complicated, and it also deals with Discord embeds. Yeah, but like I said, hit me up if you have any more questions or if you want any more ideas on any more commands to write. So yeah, I guess I'll be sitting here for the next couple of minutes waiting for any questions. Thank you, guys. Let's do another cat. If nobody has any questions, I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to do cat commands. I'm going to spam the cat command. Hey, Leo. So that's okay. I actually have the entire code up on my GitHub as well as on the Notion. I have a Notion link pinned on top of this chat. So you can go to it. You can go over the entire presentation that I just did. You can take a look at the code that I wrote. And this workshop is also going to be posted on the KnightHacks YouTube channel later on after the event, so you can rewatch it. Yes, you get the token when you create the bot directly on your Discord developer portal. And make sure that if you're going to be uploading this on GitHub, I guess I'll do this here real quick. If you're going to be uploading this on GitHub, what you want to do is you want to create a .gitignore file, and you want to put .env there and save. This is going to make sure that this environment file is not going to be committed to your GitHub. You don't want that, right? You don't want anybody to have this token besides you. If anybody else has this token, they can control your bot as well. Luckily, it's actually pretty simple to get a new token. If you come over, where did I put it? Oh, I must have closed it. But once you go to your developer portal, it actually gives you the option to generate a new token. So if you think that your token has been compromised, it's really easy to just go ahead and make a new one and get rid of the old one, and then just make a new one. It's still the same bot. All right, let's do another cat. Cool. Discord, I think, also does a default help command. Yeah, so it doesn't look very nice, the help command. So for my bot, for Lancelot, I actually got rid of that help command completely, and I wrote my custom help command. In the git ignore, you just put .env, right? Yes. So on the git ignore, this is the only thing that you need if you want to not commit your environment variables. You can ignore other things as well. If you want, I think that if you're on Mac, you maybe like I think .ds store, or anything else like that you might not want to put on your GitHub. Yes, so you can put either a very specific file name that you want to ignore, or you can put an extension. So obviously this is not something that you want to do, but if you wanted to ignore every single Python file that you have, I would just come over here and do .py like this. But obviously you don't want to do that because that's your entire bot that's written in Python, right? So that's just an example if you wanted to get to ignore every single file that ends with an extension. All right. Yeah, that's an ugly help command. Let's do another cat. Aw. All right. Any other questions? Thank you guys so much for coming to my presentation. Wow, I can't believe it's been a whole hour already. Thank you, thank you. Yes, we have to talk to every single workshop host first and get their permission before we put any of these workshops up. I believe that they would be on the YouTube channel, KnightHacks YouTube channel. Yep. The link is going to be given out at the end of the event, or after the event is over. We'll let everybody know. Look at that cat. Those are really hard to see. All right. If nobody else has any questions, I guess that we'll be ending this here. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for coming to my channel for my presentation. Bye, guys. Have a good night.